guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and in this video, I wanted to speak to you guys about social anxiety and how a lot of INFJs actually experience social anxiety but don't actually know that it is social anxiety. Recently, I went back to my childhood home, I guess. I lived in Dubai for 5 years from 95 to 2000, and I went back home and to the place where I used to live, to my building. I don't actually have, I wasn't able to go inside because there's someone else living there, but I was outside, to the places where I used to play and where I used to walk around. And it's interesting to me specifically that I realized all of my memories of that place, memories from that time when I was much, much younger, 15, 18 years ago, we're all tainted by this low level, this mild level of social anxiety. It was really odd to me because I was kind of thinking about it and I'm like, oh, I used to do this and I used to walk here and I used to go there. But every single time I would think of a specific memory, it would always be tainted by this sense of anxiety where I was always kind of worried about people looking at me, walking through the streets and being judged, not wanting to go outside because there are people outside. And all of these symptoms that were basically social anxiety symptoms. Now, I didn't actually know that it was social anxiety at the time. I used to just think that I was crazy. I used to think that I'm an idiot because I was like, why the hell can't I just walk outside without feeling these emotions? Or why can't I just be with my family or friends or colleagues or schoolmates without feeling like I want to kill myself? Or why do I feel so anxious all the time about being in public or doing normal public things? Like eating in public was a big source of anxiety for me. I'd be really, really anxious, and mostly I wasn't able to eat in public at all. So I'd go starve myself for hours on end because I could not eat in public. Or walking around in public was a big deal because I was also very tall, much taller than most people. I'm 5'9", so right now it doesn't seem like a big deal, but at that time I was like, oh my god, I'm a giant. Everyone's just looking at me, blah blah blah. I also kind of just got becoming a teenager, and you know how it is. All of a sudden, all these men are looking at you, and you're like, why are you looking at me? It was also not only that, but the fact that I was an awkward, socially awkward person. I didn't know how to behave around people. I used to be a chameleon, so I'd watch everyone else doing their thing and I'd follow them. But a lot of times, I'd be thinking to myself, this is not how I want to behave, but I am. And that made me more anxious. It was just sort of like a hodgepodge of random nonsense. But now that I think about it, I realize, wow, if I had just known that this is social anxiety, if I had just known that I'm not crazy, that this is normal, hundreds of thousands of people experience this, that I'm just being a teenager, I'm just going through a phase, or I'm just feeling some emotions that are normal, and it's alright to feel this way, it's alright to hide away from the world, and it's alright to feel anxious when you're surrounded by all these random negative energies, it's alright to run away. If I had just known that there was a label to these symptoms, if you want to call it, then I would have been fine. I would have just been like, oh, okay, so I'm just feeling social anxiety right now. Cool, I'll just go home right now. Or, okay, cool, I'm just feeling this right now. That's fine. It's okay to feel this way. It's okay. You can just walk away, or you can just feel it and stay in the situation, because it's all right to feel your emotions, right? It's all right to feel the way you feel. That's one of the reasons why I love the INFJ label. I know it's just a label. I know it's just a 4-letter word, if you want to say it that way. But the reason I love it is because so many people message me all the time saying it's not just a label to them. All of a sudden, they realize that they're not crazy, that they're not different, they're not unique, they're not weird, they're not something odd, they're not an oddball, they're not something that should be pushed away from society, they shouldn't run away. They're just an INFJ. It's just the way it is. It's just the personality trait. And this is one of those things, social anxiety. And a lot of INFJs have social anxiety because we don't like being around people, we don't like being in crowds, we don't like loud noises, we getting anxious about being judged. There's a lot of different reasons for it. And so a lot of us actually feel these social anxiety moments or have social anxiety on a general basis. And just knowing that this is just a label, it's just something, just labeling your anxiety and knowing that this is social anxiety. It's just the way it is. You're walking around the world, and and that gives you anxiety, and it's all right for you to feel that way, just that labeling in itself can change your entire course of your path. It can change the entire course of your life. And that's the reason I really wanted to do this video. The reason I really wanted to share this about my life, my own life, where I felt a lot of social anxiety when I was a child. So much so that I'd be walking on the streets and I'd literally have to shut myself off. I wouldn't be able to look at anyone in the eye. I wouldn't be able to look anywhere. I looked down to the ground all the time. I covered myself up with really, really heavy, baggy clothing so I'd be able to hide myself. Didn't really work. And I'd always try to hide myself by carrying a lot of stuff. So I'd be carrying big bags with me, or again, baggy clothing, not looking at people, not looking down all the time, not being able to make eye contact. That was one of my big things, actually. The fact that I can actually do that now is a big thing for me. I know most people are going to think of it as like, that doesn't really matter. But for me, being able to look at all these people in the eye, walking through the streets, being able to look people in the eye, not feel anxious, not feel like I'm being judged, or even if I'm being judged, not care about it, kind of thing. It's so powerful. You guys have no idea, right? I wanted to share this with you guys, not because I want you to realize that you have social anxiety. If you do, then yeah, that's awesome. You have it, you can label it, and then you can realize that this is a part of life. And yes, you might get over it, you might not. I don't know what your path is. But to show you that a person like me, who had major social anxiety, I mean, I could barely look at myself in the mirror. A person like me, if I can pull myself out of that and kind of be in the situation right now where I can walk through the world with a level of confidence that I've never imagined that I could ever have, and having a level of confidence where I can do these videos without feeling any amount of anxiety at all. I don't feel anything at all now that I put myself out there. And so if I can, kind of go through those moments where I could barely look up at people's faces, I could barely look into people's eyes, and I could barely eat in public, I could barely walk in public, I could barely breathe in public without feeling, oh my god, am I breathing too hard? Am I breathing too soft? It's just such a lot of nonsense in my head. If I can go through that madness, and I can be this person right now that I am, even if it took 20 years to get here, I just wanted to say that, if I can do it, obviously you guys can as well, if you are going through this kind of thing. But more than that, if you are feeling any of the symptoms of social anxiety, and please Google it, it's pretty simple. It's just, anxiety in general when you are in a social setting, not only when you're interacting with other human beings, but if you're just walking down the street. I used to have major anxiety just walking down the street in a public place. I used to feel like, everyone's looking at me, everyone's judging me, everyone's going to talk about me or laugh at me or point at me, things like that, right? And so even if you have mild levels of social anxiety like I did, I had mild levels, I think, because I was able to have friends and I was able to go out and I was able to do certain things. Even if I wasn't able to eat in public or dance in public or go to the washroom in public or all those things, I was able to I still had friends and I still went out and I still watched movies with friends and I did all those things. So I think I was at a mild level. I know some people who are at such a high level that they can barely do anything, right? And so whatever level you are at, I just wanted to say that as soon as you know that you have social anxiety, as soon as you realize that, I feel like as soon as you label it, I felt whole lot better. As soon as you know that something is just normally, it's just something that a lot of people have. A lot of people, thousands of people on this planet have social anxiety. I'm not saying that is a good thing or a bad thing. There's a lot of reasons for why it's becoming more and more prominent. I think it's because of technology and because of a loss of community and a lot of interesting reasons. But whatever the reason might be, as soon as you label your social anxiety, as soon as you realize, okay, this is what it is, I'm not crazy, I just have social anxiety, you can start moving forward beyond it. You can start healing yourself. You can start behaving in a way where perhaps you pretend like you don't have social anxiety, and the more you pretend, the more it falls away, which is what I did. I started pretending like I don't have social anxiety. I started doing all these things. I started speaking in public, and I started going out and doing all these things where I'd be forcing myself to get out over and over and again and beating my social anxiety down to the ground. That's how I beat mine. Not necessarily the way you perhaps will beat yours, But as soon as I realized this is what it is, and hundreds of people have it, and it's not a big deal, I started moving forward. And that's the reason I love labels. Not because they put us in boxes, which they do, but because they help us understand ourselves better. And they help us, especially as INFJs, help us understand that we are not alone, right? And I think, and I've said this before, we spend so much of our time, of our lives, understanding or believing that we are alone, that just this realization that we're not alone, that there are hundreds of thousands of people going through the exact same thing as us, all of a sudden gives us a sense of solace. It gives us a sense of peace. It makes us realize, all right, cool, I can get through this. If someone else can get through it, I can get through it, kind of thing, right? So I hope that my sharing of my experience will help you guys in some way, shape, or form. The only reason I was able to kind of remember that I was a socially anxious kid or a socially anxious teenager was because I went back home and I realized, wow, all I remember of my moments there is social anxiety, like anxious, all of these anxiety feelings in my heart and my body. And so I really wanted to share this with you guys. I'd love to hear from you guys if you guys have any stories of your own of social anxiety, of other things that you've been dealing with. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys have anything else that you want me to speak about or any other topics that you have suggestions on videos that I should do, let me know. All my contact information is in the description below. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.